But that's not my major problem with it. My major problem with this documentary is that I'm a vegan and I just watched the Bad Vegan documentary on Netflix. So as a vegan, I'm going to give you an angry vegan review about a vegan who ran a vegan restaurant and got featured in a Netflix documentary called Bad Vegan. That's a lot of vegan. Watching this documentary was probably one of the most insane wastes of my time that I've ever been through. So keep watching this video and I'll summarize it for you so you don't have to go and waste 4 hours of your time. And if you already watched it, well, watching me vent is surely going to make you feel better about it. So stick around to the end of the video so you can get that closure. First off, let's go over the general gist of what the fuck it was all about. So there's this woman called Sama. She's a vegan. She opened a vegan restaurant. She had some debt. She met a guy on Words with Friends, the popular Scrabble app. He said he was rich, so they got married. So it would make it easier for him to send her money so she could use that to help the restaurant. This is where things got really fucking weird. And spoiler alert, here's where the spoilers start. He told her he was part of some ominous otherworldly family, and if she sent him money, he'd make her and her dog immortal. And if she didn't do as he said, everything would go wrong and her life would be practically over. Oh, and also that he would get hurt if she didn't do what he said. So overall, she sent him $1.4 million, completely fucked up the restaurant, and ended up owing $6 million in total to investors, the government, and the staff that she couldn't pay. That sounds absolutely mental, because it is absolutely mental. This guy she married, Anthony, what's his fucking name? Anthony Strangis. This guy is a fucking expert scam artist who manipulated the shit out of Sama by getting into her emails without her knowing. So he knew where she was at all times, but she didn't know he knew. So he used that to make her believe in some kind of psychic spiritual bullshit. He created this fake online persona of another guy who he claimed was his private security guy, and it was actually him, and he was using this other guy to manipulate her in that way as well. And he even managed to get sweet with her fucking mum behind Sama's back, convincing her mum to send him $400,000 in total to protect Sama. Eventually, all of this went to shit, and he was able to manipulate Sama into leaving with him and running away when they were eventually caught when he made a Domino's pizza order with her credit card in his name, and the police picked them up after he ordered Domino's pizza and chicken wings. They were both charged, they both did some time in prison, and now they're both on the streets and free again. And that's pretty much the entire story, summarized a bit. All in all, this Anthony guy was a bit of a twat, and Sama, although she was manipulated, was way too naive to be online dating, especially on Words with Friends. Like, who meets people on Words with Friends and fucking marries them? But why exactly was this documentary a bag of shit? First off, I'll state the obvious. Why was this thing so fucking long? Every episode felt like someone was trying to stall you from seeing something happening in the room. You know, like in the movies where there's a scene where like a spy or whatever is doing something and a side character has to stall people to stop them from finding out with pointless small talk meant to just drag out the moment. Can you just fucking move along with the story, please? I had to watch it at 1.25 times speed to make it bearable. All that being said though, the camera work, the interviewing, the questions, technically it's a great documentary. It was really well done to everybody involved in that side of things. But whoever was in charge of managing the story and managing the time of it, you fucking dropped the ball, man. But that's not my major problem with it. My major problem with this documentary is the title and the concept. This documentary had very, very little to do with vegans, let alone bad vegans. The woman who got scammed, Sama, is a vegan who ran a vegan restaurant. And that's literally where it ends. There's absolutely nothing else even remotely related to veganism in the documentary. Not one thing other than that. But the name and marketing of the thing is all focused on this bad vegan. It's so stupid. It'd be like calling the Tinder swindler Bad Israeli. Yeah, Simon Leviev is Israeli, and he started his scamming career in Israel, but the documentary has little to fuck all to do with Israel. The only reason they named this Bad Vegan was to cash in on anti-vegan sentiment. People love to shit on vegans, and they knew they'd get a boat ton of attention by framing this as a documentary that also shits on vegans. Ironically, the documentary points this out. A journalist featured in the movie says the reason the mainstream media were all over this story when it broke was because people love to dunk on vegans, and the idea of this vegan potentially being a criminal was a great way to call hypocrisy on the holier-than-thou attitude of vegans. The mainstream media also latched onto the fact that it was Domino's pizza and chicken wings that got them caught in the end. They made it out like Sama, the vegan, had been eating this herself when A, she fucking hadn't. It was for the scammer, Anthony, which is why it was in his name. She's a vegan. And B, as if that's more important than the $6 million she ended up owing out, really. The documentary shamelessly used that same tactic of shitting on vegans to get people to watch this on Netflix too. And if I sound bitter, that's because it fucking worked on me. I just wasted 4 hours watching this crap so I could make this review for you. And a lot of the people featured in this documentary were just pieces of shit. At the start of the series, all her employees are going on about the family they had, how they cared about her, about how she was their mama. Saw mama, I think they called her. And as things got worse and worse, they were saying they were worried about her and they hoped she was okay. This guy was dangerous. They were worried about him and her and all this stuff. Then when she got arrested and her mugshot was in the press, they were all laughing about how funny it was to see her in a mugshot. Did you see that mugshot? She looks exhausted, skinny, and fucking depressed. How is that funny? What the hell is wrong with these people that are supposed to be her family? What scumbags? I get it that they were pissed off because they weren't paid and everything, but come on, talk about being bitter assholes. This documentary is mostly negative and shit, but there was some light at the end of the tunnel, and that light is in Anthony Caruana. He's a homeless guy who they featured in the documentary, a friend of Sama's because she'd helped him in the past and became good friends with him after helping him out with some stuff. He was by far the most genuine and kind-hearted guy featured in this entire movie, and honestly, probably the only one not trying to score points and elevate his profile like a complete twat. If you didn't already get it yet, I wasn't a big fan of this documentary. It was like the Tinder Swindler, but without any of the fun, a huge clickbait that didn't pay off at all, and an ending that also had zero payoff. Watch this video here to see why I think the Tinder Swindler did absolutely nothing wrong. Yeah, I actually said that in a video. Watch it and find out why. And make sure to let me know what you think about this video down in the comments too.